It's a warm afternoon in a quiet, worn-down town. The hardware store sits on the corner of Main Street, its paint faded and its sign creaking slightly in the breeze. Inside, the shelves are lined with tools and supplies that look like they've been there for years. The man behind the counter, Henry, sits quietly, lost in his thoughts. His hands are calloused, a testament to years of hard work, and his face is etched with the lines of a life lived through war, loss, and solitude. Despite everything, there's a quiet strength in his demeanor. The bell above the door jingles, breaking the stillness. A young man, Marcus, steps inside. He looks tired, his clothes slightly worn, and his eyes carrying the weight of disappointment. He's been going from place to place, looking for something, anything, that can give him a fresh start. He glances around the store, unsure of what to expect. Henry looks up, his eyes briefly studying Marcus before speaking. "Can I help you with something?" His voice is steady, but there's a hint of curiosity. Marcus hesitates for a moment. He's been turned away so many times recently that it's hard for him to muster up hope. "I'm, looking for work," Marcus finally says, his voice quiet but firm. "Anything you got. I'll do whatever." Henry leans back, taking in the sight of the young man before him. He's seen this look before, in himself decades ago, a look of frustration and fatigue, but also a flicker of determination. "I don't have much," Henry admits. "This ain't exactly the busiest store in town. But you look like you could use a break." Marcus shifts his weight, unsure whether this will lead to another rejection or a chance. He forces himself to stand a little taller, despite his exhaustion. "Yeah, I could use one," Marcus says, his voice softening slightly. "I've been trying, but it's like… I don't know. No one sees it, you know? No one sees what I can do." Henry watches him for a moment, recognizing something deeper than just a search for a job. He stands up from behind the counter and gestures toward the shelves. "Well, let's see what you can do. Start by organizing those tools over there. If you're good with your hands, this might be the place for you." Marcus blinks, a bit surprised. There's no long interview, no paperwork, just an opportunity handed to him. He nods quickly and heads over to the shelves, eager to prove himself. As he starts organizing the tools, Henry watches quietly. The hours pass, and as the afternoon turns into evening, Marcus finishes up the task. He wipes his brow, feeling a sense of accomplishment, small as it may be. Henry walks over, inspecting the work. "Not bad. You handled it pretty well," Henry says with a nod. Marcus looks up, trying to gauge if this is leading anywhere. "I can come back tomorrow. I'll work hard, I promise." Henry studies him again, seeing the desperation and hope in Marcus's eyes. He remembers a time when he was just as hungry for a chance. A part of him feels drawn to the young man's quiet resilience. "I believe you," Henry replies. "But listen, I'm not just looking for someone to sweep the floors. If you're going to stick around, you need to learn how to do more than that. You up for it?" Marcus straightens up, his heart racing a little. This feels different from the other places that turned him away. "I'm up for anything," he says, determination creeping back into his voice. Henry chuckles lightly. "Good. Everyone starts somewhere. I had someone give me a break when I was your age. Didn't know much, but I learned. And I see something in you, Marcus. You've got potential, but potential only gets you so far. You willing to work for it?" Marcus nods without hesitation. For the first time in a long while, someone is offering him more than just a job, they're offering him a chance to build something of himself. "Yeah. I'm willing," Marcus says firmly. Henry gestures toward the back of the store. "All right then. Tomorrow, we'll start with the basics. There's more to running a place like this than stocking shelves. You're gonna learn how to fix things, manage orders, deal with people. The kind of stuff that sticks with you. That sound good?" Marcus can hardly believe it. He came in looking for any job he could find, and now it feels like he's getting something even more valuable, mentorship. He nods again, feeling a spark of hope ignite within him. "That sounds good," Marcus replies. Henry gives him a small, approving smile. All right. Be here at 8. And don't be late. Marcus leaves the store that evening with a strange mix of relief and excitement. It's not just a job, it's the feeling that maybe, just maybe, his life is about to change. For the first time in a long while, he feels like someone believes in him. As Marcus walks away, Henry watches him from the door. There's something about the young man that stirs an old memory within him, a time when he, too, was just looking for someone to give him a shot. It's that memory that makes him nod to himself. Everyone deserves a break. Everyone deserves a chance to show what they're made of. Inside, the store is quiet again, but this time, it doesn't feel as lonely. Over the following months, Marcus shows up early every morning, eager to learn. Henry teaches him how to repair tools, from small household items to more complicated machinery. Marcus's hands, initially unsteady, start to grow more confident as he works, learning how things fit together, how each piece has a role. Every task Henry gives him has a deeper lesson hidden within it. Fixing a broken tool isn't just about mechanics, it's about patience, attention to detail, and the willingness to see something through. As Marcus begins mastering the basics, Henry moves him to the back office. Here, Marcus learns the less glamorous but vital parts of running a business, balancing the books, keeping track of inventory, ordering supplies. He's taught how to negotiate with suppliers, how to manage money, and most importantly, how to handle setbacks. Henry shares stories from the early days of the store, how he nearly went bankrupt in his first year, how he built trust with customers, how he kept going even when things seemed hopeless. Marcus absorbs it all. These aren't just skills for the hardware business. These are lessons in self-reliance and responsibility. Henry's approach is straightforward, sometimes tough, but always fair. He makes Marcus redo work that isn't up to standard, not out of cruelty but because he wants him to understand that anything worth doing is worth doing well. Between the tasks and lessons, Henry starts to open up about his own life. He tells Marcus about his time in the military, about how he learned to survive under pressure, and about the discipline it took to build his business after coming back. He talks about his wife, who passed away years ago, and how that loss nearly broke him. Marcus listens, sometimes silently, realizing that Henry's life, while different from his own, is full of struggles he can relate to. They begin to develop a quiet understanding. Marcus learns that Henry isn't just an old man running a shop. He's someone who has fought his own battles and found ways to keep moving forward. In return, Henry starts to see Marcus not as a troubled young man, but as someone with real potential, someone who just needs the right guidance. At first, there's an unspoken tension between them, not just because of their age difference but because of the racial divide. Marcus knows how people like Henry can sometimes see young black men. He's felt the sting of prejudice too many times before. Henry, on the other hand, grew up in a different time, where divisions between races were more rigid, though he never considered himself part of that mindset. Still, there's a generational gap that creates an invisible barrier. But day by day, that tension fades. They don't talk directly about race, they don't need to. The respect they build for each other bridges that gap. Marcus notices the way Henry treats him, with fairness and kindness, never making him feel less than or undeserving. And Henry, without needing to say it out loud, makes it clear that Marcus's race doesn't define him in his eyes. It's the work, the effort, and the heart that matters. Over time, Marcus begins to realize that Henry's belief in him is genuine. This isn't just a job, it's the foundation for something bigger. The skills he's learning aren't confined to this small store. Marcus starts to think beyond his current situation. If he can master these lessons, what's stopping him from applying them elsewhere? Why couldn't he start something of his own? One afternoon, after a long day of work, Marcus finally voices his thoughts. "You ever think about doing something different?" Marcus asks, wiping his hands on a rag after fixing a customer's tool. Henry raises an eyebrow, leaning against the counter. "What do you mean?" "I mean bigger. Something more than just this store. I've been thinking, with what you've taught me, maybe I could do something like that. Maybe I could start my own business." Henry studies him for a moment, his expression thoughtful. What kind of business? I don't know yet. But something where I'm the one in charge. Something that helps people, like you've helped me. Henry nods slowly. It's possible. But it's not easy. Running a business isn't just about knowing how to fix things or balance books. You've got to have vision. And grit. You've got to be ready for everything to go wrong and still keep going. I know. But I feel like I could do it. For the first time, Marcus's voice is filled with a kind of certainty that wasn't there before. He's no longer the unsure young man who walked into the store looking for any job he could find. He's thinking about the future, about what he's capable of. And Henry can see it. The spark of ambition has taken hold. Well, Henry says, crossing his arms, if that's what you want, you've already got a head start. You've learned a lot in a short time. But remember, this isn't something you can rush. You have to build it, piece by piece. It takes time. It takes sacrifice. Marcus nods, absorbing the advice. He's willing to put in the time. For the first time in his life, he feels like the possibilities are real. You've got something in you, Marcus, Henry adds, his tone serious. Don't waste it. Marcus looks back at him, grateful. I won't. As the days go by, Marcus continues his work at the store, but now there's something more driving him. He's planning, thinking, dreaming. Henry doesn't push him, but he watches with quiet satisfaction. He's done more than just teach Marcus how to run a hardware store, he's planted a seed. And Marcus, for the first time, can see that his future holds more than he ever imagined. The barriers he once thought were unbreakable are starting to seem smaller, more like challenges he can overcome. Henry's mentorship has given him more than just skills, it's given him the belief that he can do something great. The bond between them, built on mutual respect and trust, has become the foundation for Marcus's next steps. Years pass, and Marcus stands at a crossroads. With Henry's steady encouragement, he knows the time has come to leave the small town behind. Staying would be comfortable, but comfort isn't what he's after. The city, with all its opportunity and uncertainty, calls to him. He has an idea, a dream that's growing louder in his mind, a business that could make a real impact. It's not just about making money, it's about giving others the tools to succeed, just as Henry gave him. With a few $100s saved and a worn backpack slung over his shoulder, Marcus boards a bus and heads to the city. The first few months are rough. He doesn't have connections or a safety net, just the belief that if he works hard enough, something will break through. He rents a small room in a rundown building and spends his days knocking on doors, sending out proposals, and pitching his business idea to anyone who will listen. But no one seems to care. His idea, a tech startup focused on providing educational resources to underprivileged communities, sounds promising on paper. But getting people to believe in it, and in him, is another story. He faces rejection after rejection, his confidence shaken as investors dismiss him with excuses that feel too familiar. You're too young, there's no market for this, you don't have the right experience. Some meetings end before they begin, and Marcus can see in their eyes that the color of his skin plays a part in their disinterest. At times, the weight of it all becomes unbearable. He's running out of money, living off ramen noodles and hope. The city is cold and unwelcoming, and Marcus wonders if he made a mistake. Doubt creeps in late at night when the city is quiet, and he's left alone with his thoughts. But every time he feels himself slipping, he remembers Henry's voice, steady, unshakable. Stay the course. Work hard. Integrity matters. So he keeps pushing. He works side jobs to stay afloat, delivering food, cleaning offices, doing anything that allows him to keep his business dream alive. His first real setback comes when a potential investor strings him along for weeks, only to back out at the last minute. Marcus is devastated. He thought this was it, the moment he'd been waiting for. But instead, it's another door slammed in his face. For the first time, he considers giving up. But Henry's lessons are etched deep inside him. Persevere, Henry had said. Marcus doesn't want to let his mentor down, and more than that, he doesn't want to let himself down. He digs deeper, working longer hours, revising his business plan, and learning from every failure. Each rejection becomes a stepping stone rather than a barrier. Slowly, he refines his pitch, becomes sharper, more focused. He starts to see the small wins, an interested email here, a supportive conversation there. Then, after years of grinding, the breakthrough comes. A mid-level investor, someone who believes in Marcus's vision, offers him a chance. The terms aren't perfect, and Marcus knows the road ahead is still long, but it's a start. With a small injection of capital, he launches his company, an online platform that connects underserved communities to educational resources, providing them with tools to improve their lives. The first year is tough. Growth is slow, and the financial strain remains. But Marcus pushes forward, using the same grit and resilience that Henry instilled in him. His platform begins to gain traction, especially in communities that have long been overlooked. Word spreads, and slowly, Marcus's company becomes more than just a small startup. It becomes a lifeline for people who, like him, once felt trapped by their circumstances. As the business grows, Marcus begins to hire a team, expanding his reach. Investors who once turned him down start to notice his progress. His company becomes known for not just its innovative approach but for its integrity. Marcus refuses to cut corners, always keeping his focus on the people his platform is designed to help. The lessons Henry taught him, about doing things the right way, about empathy and perseverance, are at the core of everything he builds. Finally, after years of hard work and relentless dedication, Marcus's company breaks through in a big way. Major investors come on board, and his platform scales rapidly. He's invited to speak at conferences, profiled in business magazines, and hailed as one of the rising stars in tech. His company is now valued in the millions, and he's living a life he once only dreamed of. But with success comes a deep sense of reflection. Marcus sits in his sleek, modern office, looking out over the city that once seemed so intimidating. He's achieved what so many people told him was impossible. But as he watches the world from his high-rise, he realizes something: the money, the accolades, the success, it's not enough. Something is missing. He thinks back to where it all began, the small hardware store, Henry's quiet wisdom, the way he had taken a chance on a lost young man when no one else would. Marcus realizes that the greatest gift he ever received wasn't money or opportunity, it was belief. Henry believed in him when he didn't believe in himself. And so, Marcus makes a decision. He's accomplished so much, but now it's time to give back. He books a flight and returns to the small town he left all those years ago. It's time to find Henry, to repay him in the only way that truly matters, by showing him the fruits of the seeds he sowed. With success in hand, Marcus feels the overwhelming need to reconnect, to honor the man who set him on this path. But more than that, he knows that the journey isn't over. Just as Henry changed his life, Marcus now has the power to do the same for others. And he's ready. Marcus steps off the bus and takes in the familiar sights of the small town that shaped him. The streets are quieter than he remembers, the storefronts a bit more worn, the energy slower. It's been over a decade since he left, and though he's grown and transformed in ways he never thought possible, the town remains largely the same. The same, except for Henry's hardware store. As he approaches it, he notices how time has taken its toll. The once well-kept windows are streaked with dirt, and the sign is faded. The store, like Henry, is weathered but still standing. Pushing open the creaky door, Marcus is met with the smell of sawdust and old metal, a scent that instantly brings back memories of his time there. The bell above the door chimes, just like it used to, but the store is nearly empty now. Henry stands behind the counter, his back turned as he scribbles something in a ledger. He's older, his hair grayer, and his movements slower, but there's still that same quiet strength about him. Henry doesn't look up right away. Marcus takes a moment to absorb the scene, the weight of what's about to happen sinking in. He feels a rush of emotion, a deep sense of gratitude, and a realization of how far he's come. "Excuse me," Marcus says softly, his voice steady but laced with emotion. Henry turns, eyes narrowing as he tries to place the face in front of him. There's a moment of hesitation, and then, in an instant, recognition flashes in his eyes. Marcus? Henry's voice cracks slightly, filled with disbelief. His hands freeze over the counter, and for a second, it's as if time stops. Marcus smiles, unable to hide his own emotions. Yeah, it's me. They stand there, two men who were once mentor and student, now standing on equal ground. Henry steps around the counter, and they embrace, an unspoken acknowledgement of everything they've been through. It's a simple hug, but it carries years of unspoken gratitude, respect, and love. When they finally pull back, Henry studies Marcus with pride in his eyes. You've done well, Henry says, his voice low but filled with meaning. Marcus nods, his throat tight. I wouldn't have made it without you. Henry waves him off, his modesty intact even after all these years. You had it in you all along. I just gave you a little nudge. They sit down together, and Marcus begins to share his story, how he struggled in the city, how he almost gave up, and how the lessons Henry taught him kept him going through it all. Henry listens quietly, nodding occasionally, but mostly he just watches Marcus, proud of the man he's become. As they talk, Marcus notices the cracks in the walls, the way the shelves are sparsely stocked. It's clear the store is struggling, a shadow of what it once was. Henry sighs as he explains how the big chain stores have moved in, cutting into his business. The community has changed too, fewer people walking through the door every day. He's kept it going out of pride and stubbornness, but even Henry knows that it's nearing the end. Marcus feels a deep sadness as he looks around. This store was once his lifeline, the place that gave him hope when he had none. To see it now, teetering on the edge of closure, hits him hard. I've been thinking about shutting it down, Henry admits, his voice heavy with resignation. It's not like it used to be. I can't compete with those big guys. It's just me now. Business has dried up. Marcus shakes his head. You can't close this place. This store, it's more than just a business. It's a part of this town, a part of you. Henry gives him a sad smile. I appreciate that, but times change. You know that better than anyone. Marcus leans forward, his mind racing with ideas. He's no longer the young man who came to Henry looking for a job. He's a successful entrepreneur now, someone who knows how to build and sustain a business. He's in a position to help, and more importantly, he wants to. This isn't just about the store. It's about repaying a debt he feels in his heart, one that no amount of money could ever fully repay. What if we did something different with the place? Marcus asks, his voice picking up with excitement. What if we turned it into something more than a hardware store? A community center, somewhere people can learn skills, get advice, start their own businesses. Henry frowns slightly, uncertain. A community center? Yeah, Marcus says, leaning in. Think about it. There are so many young people out there who need the same kind of help you gave me. They need guidance, skills, a place to start. We can give them that. You've still got a lot to offer, and I've got the resources now to help make it happen. Henry looks at Marcus, his eyes searching, as if trying to make sense of the offer. You'd do that? Marcus nods without hesitation. You believed in me when no one else did. This is the least I can do. Let me help you the way you helped me. Henry is quiet for a long moment, the weight of Marcus's words settling over him. He's spent his whole life giving to others, never expecting anything in return. To have Marcus, this young man he mentored, who is now successful in his own right, offer to give back in such a profound way, it's almost too much. Finally, Henry speaks, his voice thick with emotion. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Marcus replies, his eyes full of determination. We'll build something here, something that lasts. Just like you taught me. Henry smiles, a genuine smile that reaches his eyes. For the first time in a long while, he feels a sense of hope. Maybe the store won't be what it once was, but with Marcus's help, it can become something even more meaningful. Together, they can give others the same opportunity Marcus was given. As they sit there, the future of the store hanging in the air between them, one thing is clear: their bond, forged through mentorship and mutual respect, has come full circle. Marcus has returned, not just to repay a favor, but to continue the legacy Henry began all those years ago. With determination, Marcus and Henry roll up their sleeves, ready to breathe new life into the hardware store. Instead of just saving it, they envision a community center, one that can provide invaluable resources for the youth of their town. The first step is to clear out the old inventory, transforming the cluttered aisles of hardware into open spaces for workshops and training. Together, they work tirelessly, Henry imparting his wisdom on practical renovations while Marcus injects modern ideas and technology into the planning. As they begin to renovate, the excitement in the community grows. Word spreads quickly about the new initiative, drawing in local support. Families start to show interest in what's to come, and soon they're gathering for meetings to discuss how they can contribute. Marcus and Henry encourage input from community members, ensuring that the center will meet the actual needs of the youth. It becomes a collaborative effort, a true reflection of the town's spirit. Months of hard work transform the once faded hardware store into a vibrant community center. Bright murals cover the walls, celebrating local history and culture. Classrooms are equipped with computers for tech training, and spaces for hands-on workshops are set up. Henry shares his extensive knowledge of carpentry, while Marcus organizes courses in business development and entrepreneurship. Together, they create a balanced curriculum that inspires creativity and instills practical skills. As the opening day approaches, both men feel a sense of nervous anticipation. They stand in front of the center, watching as local families arrive for the grand unveiling. Henry, once hesitant about the future, is now filled with pride. This center represents more than just a new business. It symbolizes hope and opportunity. Marcus, too, stands a little taller, knowing he has played a vital role in reshaping not just his own future, but that of his community. The day of the opening is a celebration. The community gathers, filled with laughter and anticipation. As they cut the ribbon, a cheer erupts. Young people flood into the center, eyes wide with excitement. They're eager to learn, to grow, and to explore opportunities that were once out of reach. Henry watches, seeing the next generation that he wants to help shape. Marcus stands beside him, a sense of fulfillment washing over him. As the weeks turn into months, the community center flourishes. Young people participate in workshops, some even start their own small businesses with the skills they've gained. The center becomes a hub of activity, a place where dreams are nurtured and ambitions take flight. Marcus frequently shares his journey, emphasizing the importance of resilience and hard work. He wants them to know that success doesn't come easy but is attainable for those who are willing to put in the effort. Henry finds joy in mentoring the youth as well. He shares his life stories, weaving lessons from his experiences into engaging conversations. The respect and admiration from the young people reignite a fire within him. He realizes he's not just teaching them skills, he's helping to instill values that will last a lifetime. The partnership they built is strong, with both men motivated by a shared vision of transforming lives. One afternoon, as they sit on the steps of the center, watching a group of young people learn to code, they share a moment of reflection. Marcus turns to Henry, gratitude evident in his eyes. "I never would have made it this far without you," he says, his voice sincere. "You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. This center is as much yours as it is mine." Henry shakes his head, humbled. "You're the one who took the leap, Marcus. You've built something remarkable here. This is your legacy." They sit in comfortable silence, the sounds of laughter and learning filling the air around them. Marcus looks out at the young faces, bright with potential. "It's hard to believe how far we've come," he says thoughtfully. "All those years ago, I walked into your store, lost and without direction. And now look at what we've created." Henry nods, a smile spreading across his face. "You've turned your struggles into something powerful. You're not just giving back, you're changing lives." Marcus reflects on the wealth he's accumulated over the years, financial success that once seemed like a distant dream. Now, however, he understands that true wealth lies in the impact he's making. "I thought success was about money," he admits. "But seeing these kids thrive? This is the real victory." Henry agrees, his gaze steady. The greatest wealth we can leave behind is not in material possessions but in the seeds we sow. Every life we touch is a part of our legacy. As the sun begins to set, casting a warm glow over the center, they both feel a deep sense of peace. The legacy they're building isn't just theirs, it's a collective effort, a community endeavor. They've created a space where future generations can grow, learn, and succeed, transforming lives in the process. In that moment, they realize they're not just mentoring young people, they're building a movement. Together, Marcus and Henry have woven their experiences into something greater than themselves, establishing a foundation of hope that will endure for years to come. With a shared purpose, they're creating a brighter future, one that honors the struggles of the past while inspiring dreams for tomorrow.